Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Wild Rift Origin Series, and we're moving over to Group B, and we're changing casters as well. Let's talk about the teams first, though. Unicorns of Love, obviously the winners of the June finals, up against NAVI. Natas Vince, Emily DMS Smith, and joining me is Scoundrel. How you doing, buddy? It's been a while since we've worked together.
Have we cast together? Have we cast together?
I don't know if we ever cast together.
We've ever actually cast together. We've been on the same show.
Yeah,
we've been on the same show, but I don't think we've ever actually cast together. So, given that, as you don't know, D-Man's 70,000 years old, and he was my idol growing up when I was casting. It's it's a nice little thing. Yeah, Unicorns of Love versus NAVI, a very interesting matchup. Unicorns of Love, I think, were not the completely unexpected winners of the June finals, but they were definitely the team that people were expecting to take second place. Like, they were expected to be the runners-up, I think, going up against Nova at the time. But now, with that win, they look pretty good, right?
And for NAVI, obviously coming into this one, they kind of stole some of the players, haven't they? They've basically said, all right, June, that didn't work. We kind of went out early. Dump 3 players out, bring 3 new ones in, which I think 2 are from Nova, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think the NAVI roster was a little lackluster. I think from talking to teams who do a lot of European-wide scrims, NAVI was definitely down the list in terms of, where people, the June iteration of it anyway, of what people kind of thought was a relative strength. I think now they've got a refreshed roster. Like you said, they brought some new talent in, poached a few talent pieces. I mean, not in that sense, but what I mean. They brought a couple of talent pieces in that I think actually have made this a pretty well-rounded roster. It's just to be whether they can take on Unicorns of Love, who I think are the team to beat in this group.
Yeah, I mean, when you're NAVI, born to win is literally the name of the team. They can afford to take away a few players from here, there, and everywhere. They're the team that's been around for a long time. Let's get into the pick and bans. They are ready to go. This match is absolutely going to be a hot one. It may well be a potential final. Who knows? Winner bracket finals right now is where we're at. And they're going to be a little bit slower from the start of the bands. There we go, Seraphim. Okay, keeping it quiet on the Rift. I'm happy with that.
Yes, Seraphine, the most annoying champion in the League of Legends universe, but I'm glad they're taking her away because she's pretty obnoxious in terms of what she provides in both bot lane. You can play her as an AD in the AD carry role. You can flex her to mid. You can flex her to support. A lot of teams hate playing against the Seraphine Lux or the Seraphine Sona combos, so getting rid of Seraphine in its entirety makes a lot of sense. Senna is, forgive my French, downright busted. I was about to say something worse than that. Downright busted, honestly. The sole generation from Senna in Wild Rift is, if you're playing the proper fasting Senna variant, the sole generation for Senna in this game is nutty. You can become super strong very quickly. So I think a lot of teams are not too happy seeing that in competitive. So that's a good thing to see her banned. Wukong, the most competitively picked jungler. Ziggs, absolutely ridiculous. Xin flavor of the month. And then Olaf coming through as well, a pick specifically against NAVI as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised with the Senna ban, though, because as far as I know, we haven't seen it sort of played yet. Obviously, it has come through new. Definitely a lot of Lucian. Lucian now on the table. So the Gragas pick, not surprised, was the most picked champion throughout the June Cup across all regions. So not a big surprise there. But the Galio and Camille being locked in.
Galio Camille combo, it's disgusting, actually. If you can throw Hextech Ultimatum down into Hero's entrance, it's unavoidable Galio knockup, which is very difficult for like one single target that gets locked through with the Hextech Ultimatum. However, Gragas is a good pick into Camille. You can knock Camille out of her own Hextech Ultimatum, you can cancel her ultimate, and that makes that combo a little harder to pull off more consistently. So it's a good first pickup, but as you said, one of the most common pickups because of how flexible that pick is. He's generally good everywhere. Mostly played in Baron lane, but with the Renekton lock-in, you think there's some flexibility now. Navi could throw Renekton mid. We could see Renekton Baron lane. There is still that openness to this draft.
And the Kaiser coming in was the highest win rate AD carry in June. But obviously now we've got the introduction of Lucian coming through. By the way, Jarvan the Fourth, disastrous. I think like 26% win rate. It was horrific and paid like 20 plus times. So it was not a good win rate. Nami coming in to back it up. So they've got a lot of disengage there with the wave, with the explosive cask. But for Unicorns of Love, they want to get in your face. The Akali, the final pick.
Yeah, my worry here for Na'Vi is a lot of the eggs lie in the Kai'Sa basket. Yeah, okay, Renekton and Gragas, they can all have pretty strong mid games, but you let this game scale out, you're basically playing protect Kai'Sa at every given opportunity. And protecting Kai'Sa versus Camille, Akali, Braum, you know, with the aggressiveness of that kind of support, the Galio lock-in, the amount of CC you've got to deal with, I think it's going to be a difficult path to walk for Na'Vi. However, I think they can take control of that mid game. They've got a very strong mid game. That's where I'm looking to see them do well.
Well, Kieran, the one thing I've learned over the years casting CIS teams is they're not afraid to fight. You know, we've talked about the aggression of Chinese teams, the Russian teams, the Ukrainians. They have shown just as much aggression. I expect this one to be a bit of a banger.
Yeah, it was in Group B last time. It is just a slaughterhouse of kills, left, right, and center. But that favors a Renekton team. Like, if you can get that rolling earlier, like sooner rather than later, it does favor a Renekton Gragas style team. Jarvan can be useful in that scenario. The problem that you're going to have is if you let it go too late, and that's where I think, you know, Na'Vi are going to want to brawl. They're going to want to bring it down into the dirt.
Well, let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. The game's ready to go. Let's get it on your screens. Game one. Here we go.
I guess that's anticlimactically. They got stuck in base as you were hyping them up.
Stuck in the fountain, damn it!
just stuck running at the invisible wall in the fountain. Okay, so it is going to be Renekton into Akali. That's a good matchup for Renekton mostly. You know, Akali's a little more obnoxious. You know, some PC people would be looking at this thing as an easy matchup for Renekton, but Akali's a little more obnoxious in Wild Rift than she is in PC. But, you know, overall, a relatively okay matchup for the Renekton. This is what you see a lot of the time, by the way. You see some people group up mid to get automatic priority on the mid lane tier 1, and you'll see a lot of deep vision and scryer blooms taken just to get some good information onto where the Jarvan is. And you don't really lose anything for it either, because Lucian's going to soak up all that solo experience anyway on the bot side of the map. So the reason we saw that was just to allow some deep vision to come down. You can now see some vision at the Raptors, at the blue. They will know where Jarvan is for the first 3 minutes of this game, and they should have good information about where he's looking to gank as well.
Bit of aggression in the mid lane as well, judging by the mini-map sort of poking back and forward. And yes, absolutely it is. This is going to be first blood going down. No, the ignite!
Oh!
I will say he expertly judged it. That's what I'm going to say.
Calculated, mate. Calculated every step of the way. It is a matchup that can be difficult. If you're maxing Drunken Rage, which is the ability that you just obviously saw channeled there by Don. If you're maxing Drunken Rage, then it can be a difficult matchup for the Galio. Even though Galio is supposed to be good into AP damage dealers, it can be a relatively hard matchup to get right. He does have his flash available. Spidey senses and wards were tingling, and he knew where Vex was, and that's where the credit of that, you know, the credit of that early information. They know exactly where Vex is. They're not getting caught out by these early ganks. And one of the benefits of Jarvan, as you'll know from years and years of league experience, is that he's a good early ganker. You know, one of the benefits of him is that he can just walk into a lane, EQ combo, and at least burn a flash most of the time. You know.
And that combo gets even easier on mobile, I can tell you that. I've been there, done that myself. It's funny you mentioned Akali at the start. Well, I was talking about it with Max yesterday. Obviously, we're talking about the many iterations that Akali has gone through, from we need to nerf her again, we need to nerf her again, over and over again, over on the PC, of course. A very different form, but it's certainly a very strong one. Coldstar, definitely a veteran of the scene as well, playing that champion.
Yeah, he's a great player. Was one of the standout players of Unicorns of Love in the previous finals, and I think, you know, giving him that kind of mantle, because as this game goes on, it will be up to him to threaten Hydro. You know, like he will be the main threat for Hydro in these team fights. You know, you kind of put the Camille and the Galio aside. Obviously, they're going to be scary. You know, his main job is, like, if I trade 1-for-1 with Hydro in a late game team fight, I've won it for my team. So that's what he's going to be looking to do. And that's why a little bit of mantle of responsibility now lying on Coldstar's shoulders this game. But he stepped up massively in the previous finals. And I think he was on Garen duty on the previous finals. But Garen obviously no longer anywhere near as strong as he used to be. And so I'm glad to see him take a bit more of a kind of proactive, maybe more mechanically intensive role than he had previously.
It's definitely going to be tough for him, though, to get to Hydra. There's a lot of protection there. Obviously, you've got the bubble and the wave coming out from the support in itself, but then you've got the explosive cast. You've got Vexus maybe just going to try and pounce on you. You've got the big stuns coming out from the Renekton if he's going to be protecting. It's a case of whether they go with the full protect the AD carry with Hydro in there, or whether they go for it. Well, they're going to try and go for it right here. The Hextech Ultimatum will come through. They just try and lock him out there, but quick turnaround. Zack's going to be the focus now. You can see Zack just on the back line, going to get caught out. The Lucian, is he going to get caught out? The body block comes out, but he will go down. The first blood in the end goes to NAVI.
Just as you praise the Nami, a triple bubble gets landed, and that shuts the play down instantaneously. I cannot tell you how rare it is to see that kind of number of people locked up in a Nami bubble, but all credit to Dante. He completely turned that gank around by himself, and Vex in the right place at the right time. Now, resets have come through. Are getting a replay. Let's take a look back here. Watch this bubble. Watch this bubble. Oh my God. I don't need to analyze it any further than that, mate. That is what's turned this play around. And obviously we're running Font of Life Nami, so you hit a big wave.
They're in the pit. They're in the pit. Let's get straight into the game because I can see them diving in there to go for the first dragon down. Vex is taken very low. Coalstar getting in and getting out, but can he manage to escape here? I think he's in all sorts of trouble. They're going to catch on towards the support once again. The bubble comes through. That catches once again. And NAVI benefiting massively. A 3-for-1 exchange this time out. Coalstar should be able to escape there.
Yeah, they did lose the Infernal Dragon, though. So losing the Infernal Dragon, some would kind of make a wager about whether that's worth or not. But I love what I'm seeing from NAVI right now. Immediately collapsing to the bot lane tier 1. Throwing everything at it to ensure they get first tower of the game. And we talked about this, but in Champions Select League, we talked about it. We said, we want to see a strong mid game from NAVI. You don't want to let this run late where there are going to be a lot of threats to the Kai'Sa and you might struggle to have the legs in the late game team fights. Like, get down and dirty, brawl early. We'll take a look back at that replay. Looks like they secured it, obviously. That was the big play for Unicorns of Love. I think really coming into an Infernal Dragon fight, that's what you're expecting. At the end of the day, though, they'd already taken a lot of damage. They got caught out by, a lot of AoE skills. They were just grouped up in the pit versus a very heavy AoE team. Not much more to say about it than that. But realistically, they came away with the Dragon, which I'm sure they'll be happy with. But NAVI, they've got a gold lead. They are working that mid game. That's what we wanted to see from them.
A good focus, obviously, from Coalstar. He focused on taking down the jungler, so that Smite wasn't available to secure that dragon early on. Rift Herald coming up in just a couple of seconds. We'll see, obviously, Unicorns of Love spending the cash they have. That's what I love to see. There's nothing more criminal than people being in lane, sitting on stacks of gold, because it does not equate to items in that fight. Coalstar just sitting, waiting, actually. He's getting engaged upon up in the river, and something's happening up there. You can see Vex is going to get caught out, maybe trying to focus onto the Dawn, try and get that lockup. There's that Hextech Ultimatum. This time, there's no escape mechanism. A great knockup in the end. You talked about that hero's entrance working wonders, and that's exactly how it worked. Meanwhile, back further down the river, Zack's in trouble. He can't escape that. He will get picked off, and now this is completely turning in the favor of NAVI. Unicorns of Love had this locked up. Why did they get involved in the river?
I don't know. I think they thought that strong Lucian Braum combo was enough to go for a small skirmish, but in the meantime, they committed so many of their vital teamfight resources to the top lane. And then all it took was Valhalla to walk in with Renekton, Dominus activated, nothing you can do there. And the one worry that I have for Unicorns of Love right now is there is a lot of gold on Hydro. He's the man to watch. Big engage coming through.
Well, the Rift Herald's down, and they want to defend it heavily, so... aggressive stuff. We said this from the off. Keep your eyes on the screen. This is going to be an absolute barnstormer. And sure enough, a massive lead already, though. Almost a 6K goal lead, 5.6 overall gold lead for NAVI. Just 7 minutes in. This is a big start. Unicorns alone have got to do a lot to respond to this, and they're doing just that. They catch out once again the Gragas. The Don goes down.
Yeah, Don goes down here. Obviously, he's fish bait, though. We want the Shark. That's Hydro. Hydro's got a huge amount of gold on him right now. He probably has a massive bounty sitting on his head as well. That'll be something that you'll be wanting to collect. And with this kind of gold lead that they've worked up, around 5,000 gold, we've got the second dragon fight coming through, and it will be the mountain. You're going to want to see NAVI try and go for this fight. Like, anytime they can take a fight, that's what they're looking for. And let's take a look back at this. This was that 2v2 that we just missed in the river, as you can see. Yeah, I think just outplay from Hydro, honestly. He dodged out the Braum ultimate, flashes over the wall to secure the Lucian, and as we said, the rest of the team had committed too many resources. They went for a 2v2. They lost that strict 2v2 just from the fact that Hydro was able to outplay, and as soon as Valhalla joined the fight, there was nothing you could do. Couldn't turn it back around.
Yeah, Nami too strong is the word I'm hearing from that. So overall,
Nami has her place. I think she's a good support. She's a great laning phase support, but there are better enchanters if you're trying to play pure enchanter. Love this from Valhalla. Didn't even bother to try and escape. He knew he was down. You trade your life for a tower every day of the week, and your team cross-mapped for the dragon. Great stuff from Navi. It depends whether Unicorns of Love can try and punish them. Looks like they're trying to go for their own tower on the top side of the map, but at the end of the day, that's their first tier 1. I don't think Navi are losing any sleep about it.
Definitely a stronger Navi coming out, and got to mention to Kalisto, because obviously we've seen that Hextech come through, and I'm going to go straight back to that. The bubble comes through, doesn't catch anyone this time around, and that could turn in the favor of Unicorns of Love. The problem is that the Braum is kind of going in on his own. The rest of the team not on the same page. They will back away. Zac tries to come in, but the disengage is called Unicorns of Love, but Hydro goes in. That is a ballsy AD carry move if ever I saw it. Is it going to backfire? Yes, it is. That didn't work out well in their favor, but this fight is going to go on and on. Valhalla goes in, gets 1, gets 2, surely. Should be able to get Kalisto down. Kalisto in the end will skip away from this one. Turn your attention back on the pit. Zac is in there, the AD carry flashes in, but only goes straight in towards Dante. Dante, the support, doesn't have a great deal of damage, but may have enough to finish this one off. No, he gets taken down. Comstar comes back and gets Valhalla. By word, that was an extended fight. I don't really know who came out on top of the Unicorns of Love.
Unicorns of Love absolutely came out on top here. I've got to be a little careful here. Snella's going to get away. But why? Why did Navi opt into a 4v5? They knew it was
Hydro
a 4v5.
just went in.
But they knew it was a 4v5. They opted into it. The Valhalla was dead. Why did they opt into a 4v5? End of the day, I think your team fight revolves around having that beefier front line that you need to play around, right? You need to play around the Renekton. You need to play around the Jarvan. When Renekton's dead, you can't just randomly walk in and expect to come out on top. Got to be honest, though, Bistara, one of the things that there's been a lot of discussion about it across the league in general is how Braum is a pretty solid answer into Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is very, sounds weird to describe, but she's very projectile driven. So if you watch it here, if Bistara just look at this shield, blocks every single one of those Acathian missiles. Nothing that and just zones him out. Yeah, literally. The wave doesn't get blocked. The wave was good. But Bistara, just by himself, zones out Hydro for the majority of that fight. And that's why people consider Braum a pretty solid answer into Kai'Sa, because you can just stick your shield up and walk towards her. At the end of the day, a bit tit for tat at the end here. People are just trying to escape where they can. But, sorry, excuse me. But unfortunately, they played the 4v5 and don't really know what you want to say about it.
We're going again, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's see. That's going to be quickly engaged upon, but Kalisto this time kind of went too deep on the tower. And of course, Navi were there in numbers. Renekton goes in. That is a big beef for Renekton. Look at the back line. Hydro's gone deep on that one. I didn't actually see where it's gone. They're going, the moment Cole starts trying to back away from the Dom, but the Kalisto is there. So Hydro went very, very deep and made it work.
I think he knew he could get away from it, though. He was separating out the team. He went for that ultimate to try and draw the team apart. As you said, Kalisto overextended, way too aggressive onto that tower. That mid lane tier 1 being up for Unicorns of Love is a massive issue. And Navi now, they're going for the Baron here. Thought it was going to get stolen. Just holding my breath, because again, very risky to go for Baron when you don't have a massive advantage on the map, but they made it work. Let's take a look at this again. Kalisto, yeah, way too aggressive under the tower. Just takes chains CC'd in the own Hextech ultimatum. Not really sure. Valhalla TP's back in here, pops that Dominus straight onto the front line, has that Sterex Gauge, who is really beefy, and then they just split the team up. That was
they're going again. They're going again.
Gosh, they're going again. Bloody hell.
We can't even get a replay going here because they're just fighting non-stop. I didn't even see what happened. They're disengaged. No one going down. Just going back to that replay. Kalisto did go deep, but it was a great explosive cast coming out from the Dom, which actually stopped the rest of Unicorns of Love getting in the fight. So it made it look worse than it was in terms of going in a wee too deep. But anyway,
I think you're giving Kalisto too much credit. He was under tower, to be fair. then he just got chain CC'd by Jarvan. But I agree, that's supposed to be how this comp's played, right? It's supposed to be played aggressively. But as you said, the explosive cast stopped the good hero's entrance on top of it, stopped the follow-up. Na'Vi have to be a little careful here. It might be overextending a little bit.
Vex is caught out. That's the jungler down. That is a problem. Coming in, obviously, with the Drake now up. Don't forget about that Baron that will be up shortly as well. But at the moment, the buff is on Na'Vi. The Don is going to be looking towards that. In we go. Going to get the Hextech Ultimatum. Hydra is going to get caught out. The exact target they wanted. AD carry picked off and down. The Dante doing what he can to escape from this one. But that's going to be a Dragon going Unicorns of Love way.
Yeah, but they will be trading it for maybe top lane inhibitor tower. You can see Valhalla has that minion wave looking to bounce forward. I don't know if Galio is enough to stop this, but Valhalla realizes probably has more than that coming his way. That combo right there, D-Man, that combo right there, we talked about it at the start. Hextech Ultimatum into Hero's Entrance, and because we'd already seen the flash burn from Hydra, he burnt it earlier to escape from the blue side jungle, it's difficult, very difficult to escape. Let's watch this back. Again, mistake by Vex, gets caught out, blown up very quickly by Cold Star. There's the flash from Hydro. Hydro now uses this opportunity to try and escape, obviously being chased heavily by Unicorns of Love, waiting for that hookshot engage, comes through from the Camille, and this is the combo. Hextech Ultimatum, Hero's Entrance, nothing you can do as Hydro in that situation, and that's the combo you've got to be scared of as this game progresses. This is why I said that mid-game had to be strong from Na'Vi, because you get later and later, that combo is going to make your life a living hell.
We should give some credit to Bistara, of course, on the Braum. He started it all off, really, and that's really kind of brought Unicorns of Love back into the game. You know, they were in danger of slipping out. They were up against a Baron up Na'Vi, who are really starting to turn things around in their favor. But now, in terms of kills, very much their way. Just a couple of towers they've got to get down at the moment. There's gold out there to be had, and Valhalla, well, I don't think that tower's going to save you against a four-man dive, my friend. Down he will go! Ooh. Okay. Do not discount the tankiness of a beefed-up Renekton, and it may cost them the mid-tower.
Yeah, they look like they're pushing in for that mid-lane tier 2. That was a really good outplay from Valhalla. Used everything to survive, but as you said, buys a tower. It's tower for tower overall. You trade tier 1 in the bot for tier 2 in the mid, but it is still a massive tower advantage to Na'Vi. Now they're playing what we call the Fnatic Death Brush. They're waiting for someone to just face-check them. The sweeper over the wall will see exactly where they are, but there's Kalisto caught out.
Well, they want to go for the jungle. They want to try and get him away, but that's the problem when it's Callisto in the jungle. Turns it back around, and look at Zac at the back there with the Cullen getting absolutely everything down. There's nothing Na'Vi can do about this one. They have gone for the jungler and been found wanting, and Unicorns of Love will decimate Na'Vi, and they can take the game right here.
They're going straight down mid. They just hesitated. You could see it. They knew they were being swept, and they did not commit to it early enough, and Callisto is slippery. Camille is a slippery target. She can dodge with Hextech Ultimatum, and honestly, just brilliant play from Unicorns of Love. We talked about it. If it went too late, if they gave too much space to Unicorns of Love, they'd find a way back into it, and they did.
Well, we knew it was going to be an explosive game, and I don't even think we had enough time to get the replays in there. There was that much action happening. But Unicorns of Love, I gotta be honest, I thought Na'Vi had that.
Same.
Up until that one moment, they were baroned up. They got a little greedy. I understood what they were doing. They wanted to spread. They want to get all 3 lanes baroned up and try and push in and just go for the grind. But they just got caught out, and it slipped away from them from there.
Yeah, honestly, I think, unfortunately, the 4v5 was where it really kind of went wrong, if I'm honest with you. The 4v5 is where it really went wrong. And I think if you're doing that when you're that far ahead, you're throwing away a massive advantage, and Unicorns of Love were able to so nicely micro in and out of that fight, and that gave them some space. They gave them some breathing room, and eventually, I actually think compositionally they had the trumps over Na'Vi when it came to later game teamfights, and that last teamfight that we saw where Kai'Sa gets caught out was exactly what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, magnificent fight overall. I mean, which fight do you look at? That's the big question. Like, where do you go? Because there were so many fights that happened throughout that game that could have tilted it. You think back to the triple bubble in the lane phase, the very first start. That stopped a kill. That was 100% a kill. Triple bubble comes through, absolutely works wonders. Then we carry on through. Okay. What we got?
I've got a clip I'm going to show you. It's actually that last team fight, and I think whilst it wasn't the most influential, I kind of want to talk about it because it will highlight things in a bit more detail here. So this was about, I would say this here was oh, that's a horrible color. Give me a second, guys. That's a horrible color.
You need a thicker pen as well. Thicker pen.
Wait. We're on it. We're on it.
The biggest problem
there we go.
It's Camille they go for, and Camille can bounce, especially in the jungle, can bounce everywhere.
But also Camille had been sweeping them for around 5 seconds before that. So they knew they were found out, right? And I think they had the idea that Camille was on the other side of the wall, but they delayed the commit. And that allowed Coldstar and Bastara to get back into the fight. Like if this had been done 2 or 3 seconds earlier, they may have been able to burst Kalisto out earlier. So let's play the clip, right? Kalisto, as you said, cut out, has that Sterex, able to flash out, and Hero's entrance. Hero's entrance on Camille's original position. Like, if Na'Vi want to commit to this fight, they have to commit through this. They have to commit through this ultimate. There's nothing they can do. If they want to go for the game-deciding fight here, they have to play on top of the Hero's entrance. And because they flashed over this wall, they can't get out of it either. They committed so hard, they didn't really think about some of these team fight things that came into play. So watch this. Locked up. That is a 3-man Hero's entrance.
Look at Zach.
Up. Exactly. Look at Zach caught out. Massive taunt, by the way, from Snellend. He absolutely played this perfectly. And then Don, just pretty useless in this fight too. Honestly, it was just the fact that they committed over the wall and Hero's entrance forced them all into this very precarious spot. There were no flashes left to get out of it. And Snellend played a blinder. 3 knock-up into multi-man taunt. And once that happens in a team fight, there's no coming back.
I think they were just so confident that they could back it up with the wave and sort of flow through and push, and they thought they got this great catch. And I could see it playing out, and probably they're going to look back at it themselves and thinking, how the hell did we go so wrong there? But as you mentioned, that Hero's entrance was absolutely bob on. They didn't get anywhere near the carries. They went for the jungler. Understandably, they wanted to get the jungler. The Baron was spawning. Get the jungler, Baron. Thank you. Finish the game. That was their plan. That was their thinking. It just backfired so badly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like I said, they knew Kalisto was there, but they hesitated. And once they committed, the rest of Unicorns of Love were there to back them up. And as we said, because the mechanics of that area of the map where you have to get across that wall and it's a big C shape like this, like you have to either walk around it or flash over it. And you flash over it, you flash straight into Galio, and the Galio was the difference maker in that fight. Couldn't have played a better team fight for Galio in the late game. If you hit that many bits of chain CC, your team ain't surviving.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was a fantastic first game. Let's see what game 2 has to offer. If you just joined us, here's the rosters. It is Unicorns of Love versus Na'Vi, Coldstar, Kalisto, Sneeland, Zach, and Bistara versus Valhalla, Vex, the Don, Hydro, and Dante. A new revitalized Na'Vi up against it, 1-0 down in the winner bracket finals here in Group B, covering the CIS region. I'm Lee Demon Smith. Joining me is Scoundrel for this. A fantastic first game. Let's talk bans though. Let's get pick and bans ready to go because we want to see what they're going to bring onto the table. Do they get rid of that Galio to start with?
I mean, yeah, Galio's an interesting one. Like, he when he's behind, he sucks, right? Because when you hear his entrance and you're behind, like it just you're like paper. You dive in, you just die.
I'm coming.
Yeah, exactly. I'm coming, and it just dies. But yeah, no, I think it's one of those things that I don't know if Galio was the problem. I think it was the fact that they squandered their mid game. And I think if you're Na'Vi in this situation, you reflect back, you're like, we probably could have won, but we threw. So it's probably not so much about Unicorns of Love. It's more about the way that Na'Vi play their own game. So as I say, I'm not expecting to see massive shifts up. The Olaf ban, by the way, is a specific target towards Vex. Vex is probably the best Olaf in Europe, and so you don't want to let him get his hands on that. Vex is a very talented jungler. As you said, poached is the wrong word because they make it sound like it was illegal. They picked a few players from Nova, and Vex and Hydro were 2 very talented players from that roster, so bringing them over was obviously a great decision for the team overall for Na'Vi. But bans across the board remain similar, but the Gragas is taken away here. Safe first pick, obviously, but it is going to be a Camille priority. So a Camille priority, that to me now makes it more likely that Na'Vi want to deny the Galio because that is the combo that you're a little bit more worried about. So that would be my thoughts here.
So Kalisto making sure he gets that Camille, obviously feels very confident on it. You know, Kalisto was a big part of why Unicorns of Love won in the first June finals, but the Wukong was allowed through, and we're going to see it going in the jungle this time out.
Yeah, it's one of the most popular competitive junglers in Wild Rift, especially in Europe, mainly because Double Cyclone, it's so impactful and a very teamfight orientated game. Like Wild Rift is much more teamfight heavy than League of Legends PC version. So anything that's like able to get into teamfights and impact them quickly, that's what Wukong does. Especially as well, you know, level 5 for ultimate, it's much easier to hit your ultimate, and Wukong is not a champion before his ultimate in most circumstances. So like, you know, this is a big teamfight comp that's being built up by Navi, though. Bloody hell. Diana on top of Renekton, on top of Wukong and Corki. That is a wombo. That is a big wombo combo teamfight with a lot of scaling elements too.
Yeah, we saw very strong Diana, and the problem is with Diana, it can get on Lucian very easily. So the Nami being locked in there with the Akali, a very similar comp coming out from Unicorns of Love this time around, just stealing away that Nami. And this time the Lulu coming in. Okay, so this is, obviously we can see what this is all about. Either get that big Renekton, beefy Renekton, or go for the double knock-up on the Wukong.
Yeah, well, exactly. You called it perfectly. The Wukong Lulu combo is very popular. And as you said, anybody that's there providing a huge amount of CC, like you Cyclone, you Lulu ultimate the Wukong, you Cyclone again, that's triple knock-up in a team fight. It's very difficult to deal with. Then you have Diana's ultimate, the Moonfall that pulls everybody in. Like, it is a chain CC train that is pretty disgusting. And also Lulu has the flexibility to apply that knock-up to anybody, right? So it just depends on who's the right place at the right time. Similar stuff from Unicorns of Love. What strikes me as weird is that they went for the Nami over the Braum. I actually think Braum is a fine addition to this comp. He's very disengage heavy. He protects from a lot of the incoming damage that the Navi have got. So I'm wondering what the Nami pick was for, because I actually think Braum facilitated this comp better this time round. But, you know, I guess for the most part, Unicorns of Love is ain't broke, don't fix it. Just run that same combo again. We know that our team fighting's good. They were gifted a little bit of a good team fight from Navi last time round, but we'll see if they can make it work again.
Yeah, Bistrada certainly did a very good Braum last time around, but obviously choosing to go with the Nami, seeing whether with that wave disengage, which could help obviously when you have the Wukong Cyclone coming in there. So maybe they've done it specifically. Let's get the game ready to go, ladies and gentlemen, as we move into game 2.
Oh, they did it again, D-Man. The anticlimactic jump into game and stuck at the base.
They do it on purpose. They just troll me. Okay, so let's see. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to go for a very early team fight this time around. Certainly when you're running into potential bubbles, you don't want to have that and anything else. So it is going to be a pretty standard setup. Everybody get the ward coverage down. And all right, just pop the ward right in front of him. That's a bit lazy.
Yeah, I think realistic, again, you've seen this from Unicorns of Love, that they're just doing the same thing again. Get priority mid lane wave, get in, find some push some vision into the enemy jungle, get some good ideas about where Wukong is. You can see Snellen just goes and pops that Scryer's Bloom, so they know that Wukong's on that top side of the map starting red. Was relatively obvious anyway, most Wukongs do, but love that. I love that. You don't see many teams actually commit that much, and you saw that Coldstad didn't even lose any experience, which is pretty huge, and gained a load of experience in the mid lane wave too, which allowed him to hit that level 2 relatively quickly. But you're right. You did mention no team fighting. This will be a first Dragon team fight for Navi if they want to go for it. They don't really want a team fight before that. They really need to have all of their ultimates unlocked to make this comp work. So it could be a first Dragon team fight if Navi want to go for that. Whereas Unicorns of Love, a little bit harder to execute their team fight. You know, it's similar to the way before. They have to have a target. They need to pick it down and lock it down with the Camille and the Galio. And I don't know. To be honest, Demon, I'm struggling to think the best targets. Obviously, Corki stands out, but Diana's a threat. Wukong can remain a threat. I'm not sure there's an easy just, ult this target and win, compared to last game.
Well, the pressure early on, it's definitely going to be tough for Galio. I was going to be sucking down those honey fruits, making sure, because obviously Diana's going to be a tough lane for him. You can see Wukong just dangling around there. Vex taking himself the Scuttle Crab is close enough, and we'll see whether any of those early ganks come in. If you think of Kalisto in the first game, wasn't that active in terms of ganking, was more about farming. This time around, though, I am seeing him setting up down the bottom lane.
Oh, straight in. That's a very big gank, very early gank as well. That's first blood going over to Lucian.
a very Jeremy Clarkson type dive there from you there. Oh, straight in. I love it.
It was just impressive. Oh my, we got more. No, I'm not going to Jeremy Clarkson this, mate. I'll let you have it.
Yeah, the Dom's going to be the focus target, but Diana is going to be tricky. Look how low Hydro is on the top bottom there, though. So a very much split fight overall, but ooh, get used to that.
It was just surprising. I wasn't expecting a level 3 tower dive from a Camille. Like, you generally don't see Camille go for tower dives until level 5 because the ultimate's so important for like resetting tower aggro and stuff. But I guess you've got such priority as a Lucian Nami lane that they just found a good opportunity. They unfortunately kind of threw it back towards Navi though, because Kalista went for the replay tower dive and died to Hydro. Ooh, look at that! Look at the. I mean, nice flash from Lulu to get out of the bubble there. If the bubble had landed, this would have been much cleaner overall. And this is the re-engage. You can see on the sidelines, Kalista was looking for the engage onto Corki, got a little bit outplayed onto tower, which ended up giving up 1-for-1 overall. But it could have been worse. I mean, I think Unicorns Love still come out with a minor gold lead at this point in time. They've already crushed a couple of minion waves into that tower, so denying some experience, at least from Dante for the time being. They'll be okay with that.
Yeah, a lot of flashes burnt as well, but they should be back up in time for the Dragon, so nothing really too lost other than just a simple trade back and forward. Small gold lead for the Unicorns of Love. Going back towards that Diana, you can see he's continuing his aggression in the mid lane while Coldstar continues to force Valhalla back here. And this is really how Renekton works, I'm afraid, in lane. You do have to just be very passive early on, unless you're very confident in your lane setup.
Yeah, I mean, Renekton's not really someone that you can take down in lane easily, as you mentioned. He's got so much inbuilt sustain into his kit. I think also he's not an easy tower diver as well. He's got a huge single target stun. He's got his ultimate, which just gives him a burst of HP and extra rage generation. So Coldstar's got to wait for his opportunity to kind of get ahead, and that'll probably come through either a dragon tower fight or maybe a smaller skirmish on the top side of the map. Doesn't look like we have a big setup for that first dragon in the game, though. Yeah, they're trading top lane tier 1 for that dragon. You can see Kalisto's here, and I actually quite like that, honestly, Demon. I actually do like that. I think Cloud Dragon, although it is considered one of the highest win rate dragons in the game, there is some debate as to whether that's because the dragon is good or because people tend to go for it when they're already so far ahead regardless, right? So, and I also like the fact that they're playing away from the team fight. We talked about the fact that Navi wanted the team fight. Maybe talk about that in just a moment, though. Where was that culling going, mate?
I was just wondering who we were busy culling. So I was looking at the river. I was like, there's somebody I don't see. I was like, what am I looking at? I can't see it off screen. No, just absolutely off that. I mean, yeah, go back to the Cloud Drake. It does just give you that bonus movement speed. So I guess if your position is right, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think it's about map rotations. Like, people kind of value it for map rotations, right? Where you can like get across the map that much more quickly. But there was a Riot dev who no longer works for the Wild Rift team. He moves over to another company, but he tweeted out saying actually Cloud Drake and Infernal Drake at the time were the 2 highest win rate dragons in the game. But like, I still say, is that because Cloud Drake's good, or is that because people think Cloud Drake's so bad that they only tend to go for it when they're so far ahead regardless, right?
Yeah,
so it's a bit of a conflating stat to kind of understand. But I like what Unicorns of Love did there. We didn't really get onto the point because the culling went into the middle of the river. But I like the fact that they understood that the dragon team fight is very strong from Navi, and they said, well, we don't want any part of that. Let's just try and cross-map it. We don't really care about Cloud Drake that much. And now they're going for the smaller skirmishes.
Yeah, just forcing the flash out once again from the Dom there. So just being aggressive, getting good wall coverage as well as they try and do this. So it's something they're going to have to try and focus on. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about misleading stats. We all mentioned this yesterday with Max because I was talking about the Xin Sao. Obviously, how it had, I think it was 87% win rate in the June finals. But to quantify that, 10 of those games was played by Doom from formerly Tribe Gaming. So, it was a very misleading statistic sometimes. You got to be careful as and when and really try and quantify it. This is going to be a little setup here. I don't think Navi are going to fall for it.
Yeah, Doom, just on the mentioning of Doom, I think he's probably the best jungler in Europe. So I've played solo queue with Doom, and he's played like Master Yi at Challenger level and just crushed everybody. So, if you're playing Master Yi at Challenger and you're crushing everybody, you're usually a pretty good jungler. So I think Doom can technically play whatever he wants and get away with it.
Ooh, starting off the wrist girdle.
You went a bit Jeremy Clarkson there, mate.
Yeah, ooh. I'm going to be starting a farm up next week, don't worry. Unicorns of Love are going to take this, actually not even remotely challenged by Na'Vi, and they're not getting anything from it either. That's somewhat surprising. I guess they just felt we didn't have a good enough coverage there, or just didn't have the people in place. Obviously, Valhalla did take the bottom turret, I think, from that one.
Yep, he did, yep.
Yeah, so I guess just simply trading it. Where's that going to be used, I guess, for next dragon?
Yeah, there are 2 options that you've got, right? You either use it when you get a good push on mid lane to secure your mid lane tier 1, Or, as you correctly mentioned, you can use it on the second dragon to create some natural priority in the lane. Like, you just drop that Rift Herald mid, the enemy team has to deal with it, so they move away from the dragon, and then you get the ability to control the dragon area, clear out vision, set up better around that objective. So, yeah, that's why I envision it's going to get used, unless a big opportunity presents itself for Unicorns of Love to just go and, you know, crush that mid lane tier 1 off a single push.
So, small advantage in terms of AD carries. A 500 gold lead for Zach Q. We'll see whether that, you know, does turn into anything. In terms of items, you know, obviously Triforce already complete by Hydra, so he's in a good place in the Corki in itself, and certainly will be one of those players that will be looking to just be off the back, well away from the team with the likes of that tanky front line that he has. Overall, though, a pretty even matchup and a much calmer one, you know, than what we just saw a moment ago in the first match. I think we were already looking at, you know, some crazy plays and pushing the base at 7 minutes.
Oh my god, that was the. I think from the first series, I mean that group in generally tends to be a bit mental. Like every Group C game I've ever watched has just been all guns blazing, like all the time. Whereas Group C and Group A, they're a bit more macro orientated, right? These guys generally tend to have a game plan when they come in, and they try and stick to it as much as possible. Unicorns love game plan. They haven't dropped the Rift Herald on this second dragon here, but we're going to see a teleport coming in. No,
they think they've actually caught them out of position. That's what they're going for. Here comes the Renekton teleport in. Is it going to be enough? The wave comes across. It wasn't a great disengage from the wave overall. Coldstar on the back tries to jump on the back line, but it doesn't really work out. He gets picked now. Hydra has been separated as well. He's going to be able to flash himself out of there. Zach Q finds himself in no man's land. Just a 1-for-1 trade so far, but the important part is it's the jungler down for NAVI. So at the moment, Unicorns are loving a much stronger position. That way,
dragon, Unicorns of Love. Sorry, Lee, but you just said, why are they not? Like, just secure the dragon.
I mean, I've been there myself. Hit the damn tower is all I said before, but hit the damn dragon indeed. As I say, you know, once they took down that jungler, they had to finish the dragon. They finally get it. And it is going to be Unicorns of Love that come out on top, obviously, with the dragon.
Oh my god, it was like sat there at 1,000
Oh, there HP. It is. They finally put it down.
Oh, they finally put it. They was sat there at 1,000 HP, T-Man, and I was like, guys, the enemy jungler's dead. Can you just please get this? My anxiety's going through the roof right now.
Let's take stock. Let's take stock. Okay, Baron up in, what, 5 seconds. At the moment, pretty even. Well, I mean, gold-wise, kill-wise, tower-wise, everything is there to add both the dragon a piece. This game is very much on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Still wide open. We've got a lot to play for right now. Again, it's, you know, the finals that we're talking about in Group B. At least the upper bracket finals for the time being. This is the engage again. Coldstar did his job. He took out at least one key member of the enemy team. That's generally what Akali does as the game progresses. She's there to trade 1-for-1 overall. She can get a couple more out of that or get more damage off. That's fantastic. And then we play a little bit of a dance. A dance of please just secure the dragon. But we're back into the game. There wasn't much to talk about from there. We just saw end of the day, they secured the dragon. And the next one's Infernal. So that might be an important one that Unicorns of Love are going to want to play around. Some key item spikes are here, by the way. Double item spike for Lucian, the Blade of the Rune King, Triforce. Triforce completed for the Camille. We have a Lichbane, Akali, very early on, single target damage focus. You know that he's mostly interested in just blowing up that one target and then sort of not bothering following that. This is a good time for Unicorns of Love. They've got some good item spikes to work with. You'd want them to try and force the issue somewhere.
Very interesting whether they can get caught out here. Good knock-up coming through this time, and it was on Zach Q, the AD carry. Kalito will commit to this, and he has got Hydro in that Hextech ultimatum. They should be able to finish him off. It's a big pick-up for Unicorns of Love. Now they turn it into a double kill. They've got to get back onto the Dom in the background. That Zach Q is still alive. And they're going to chase him down, and that turns the Baron.
I mean, this is what I love about Unicorns of Love, right? Like, they have this team comp. I mean, I might just hold it for the time being, though. I imagine Valhalla's going to try and look for some kind of hero play, and he does. He goes in.
Going straight in. Is it going to be enough to try and turn it around? Valhalla will get Zach Q down. Is it enough to delay them? I don't think they can take the Baron down now. They're too low on the hit points. They're going to focus on Valhalla instead. Quickly turn on to Dante. Dante got a little too close to that, and the Lilu doesn't have a great deal of hit points. They got the Baron concluded as well. Everything goes Unicorns of Love way.
They're playing it brilliantly, and also if we look back at that team fight at some point, you'll be able to see that the Unicorns of Love, they play a fractured team fight. They intentionally split Na'Vi up. Na'Vi want you to be grouped in a big old 5v5. They want to just slap CC onto as many targets as possible. This was just that fight after that had occurred, unfortunately. So this was what you just saw on your screens a moment ago. Not much to talk about here. Valhalla was just trying to go for the hero play and couldn't quite make it work. But before this, you know, like the Galio Camille dive into the back line. They separate out Na'Vi. Na'Vi can never make their wombo combo work because they're threatened too heavily and their backline is forced to retreat. They can't stick together as a unit because they are too threatened by the Unicorns of Love players. And now Unicorns of Love are starting to strike. Mid lane tier 1 finally drops. They have that Baron pushing in every way, in every lane right now.
This was the exact position Na'Vi were in last game, and they threw it away. They had all 3 waves. They were pushing in, but they just got caught off. Vex getting caught on a little bit there, but just uses his mirror to get away and get himself safe. But those Baron up lanes are going to put pressure on all 3 of these tier 2 turrets, and now they're looking to try and make a play. Kalisto comes in instantly. Hydra has to disengage. Another double bubble comes in. They try and turn that around. The culling coming out from Zac there as well, trying to keep the pressure on. Meanwhile, in the top and bottom, or the Dragon of Baron lane, they are also losing the turrets. Coalstar's going to take himself the top turret down on the bottom turret. That's going to be Sneelan taken away. So everything right now benefiting. I know in terms of when we're looking at the LEC, obviously we talk about the Baron play, the gold they just earned. It is stacking up right now. Yeah,
8k gold lead starting to work its way forward. That is a huge number of towers. And honestly, if you just see this continue from Unicorns of Love, like you continue to play away from team fights, what I love, you know, about it is the fact that they haven't allowed Na'Vi to actually make their comp work. Like they have not allowed Na'Vi to do what their comp is supposed to do at any point. Now, this might be an opportunity for Na'Vi because the package is there.
The Cyclone comes in. It does catch 3 of them off guard, and that's a really good wave coming through as well. But instantly comes the responses. They come diving through. Look at Kalisto diving onto Hydra. Hydra is completely out of the fight. There's no damage coming from that carry. And now the Dom forced to back away, and that was a great separation from Kalisto just to force that carry out of there. Yes, he lives, but he did nothing because he was forced to back out.
Yeah, and again, like not able to make that team fight work. You could see that Na'Vi were desperate. They had that one opportunity to push in, find the Wukong ultimate, and just go for it, but they couldn't make it work. And as you said, Coalstar, Kalisto, so good at just separating these team fights out and making it so that Na'Vi can't press their buttons at the same time. And that's the most important part. If you can't tap your abilities at the time that you need them, like at the same time, that wombo combo is never going to work. Take a look here. Again, this is what you want to see. You know, I understand what Vex did here. He wanted to force the fight and go for the wombo combo. But immediately, Sneelan's kind of forcing them away. As you said, Kalisto forced his Hydro outside of the fight, and he has to walk the long way around to get back in. And suddenly it's a game of 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3 on the side of the fights. And that is what the Unicorns of Love team comp wants to do. They thrive in the smaller skirmishes, and they absolutely thrived in that team fight.
Yeah, and Hydro clearly the focus. They got the wild growth down on him, and it was great, you know, kept him survive. But as you say, it had to flash, then he had to jump away from it and absolutely backfire. But we've seen this turn. Na'Vi threw away the game in this almost exact position. This time Kalisto comes in onto Vex. Realize this keeps the pressure down, gets the Hextech automated on the Hydro. That is a disaster for Na'Vi, and he gets completely caught out. Nothing he can do. Cyclone doesn't even have an effect because he gets picked off before it even triggers off there. Dante has to run away. That's game for Unicorns of Love.
I mean, they've even surrendered. They've even surrendered before the Nexus gets taken down. They knew they were done at that point. And honestly, it's that combo again. It's that combo again, Lee. Like it is the Galio Camille combo in the late game. When you have one target that you care about killing, the Galio Camille combo is almost uncontestable in terms of what it can actually do in a team fight. And again, saw it in the Kaiser in the last game, saw it in the Corki this game. You can't escape. High mobility champions, you get locked in, you get double knocked up, and unfortunately, there's nothing you can get out of it. I mean, that was really well played from Unicorns to Love, and really beautiful from them to separate out these team fights to make it into these smaller 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3 scenarios as well.
Absolutely. Let's check some of the highlights from that game. And, you know, all credit, obviously, to Hydro. There's only so much you can do. When there's a Camille hunting you, they can close the gap so much. This is the very early first blood coming in. Kalisto does pay the price. The rest of his team come in to support him. But it was a very even start.
It was, and honestly, I think for the most part, Na'Vi were playing more towards these kind of stronger teamfight styles of play. This was a very interesting dragon fight. I think that was obviously great from Cold Star to trade onto the jungler. It was a 1-for-1 overall. This meant that Unicorns of Love did have the easy secure. Low HP bars meant that you couldn't see Na'Vi commit to this fight. I really wanted them to just secure this. I mean, they definitely were toying with disaster here, but it just came to the part where Unicorns of Love were able to get too far ahead. They were able to become too individually strong. And as we said, the way that these teamfights were played, they never allowed Na'Vi to play to their strengths. They never allowed Na'Vi to find the full 5v5, find those big wombo combos that we talked about in the Champion Select. And that Galio-Camille combo just became impossible to deal with as the game went on. This was the one chance. This was the one chance that they had, and Hextech Ultimatum even stopped the package from allowing Hydra to get out of the fight. And you can see how good it is versus these high mobility champions. And as we said, look, this is what Unicorns of Love thrive on. They just go for the smaller skirmishes, the smaller 1v1s, these mini fights within team fights is the way I like to kind of look at it. And that's exactly what Unicorns of Love wanted. And right here, D-Man, I don't even need to commentate this. This is just that beautiful combo that they played in both of their games.
And it's so hard to escape, a Camille. I've said it before, once you got that wombo combo, as you say, the hero's entrance, we talked about it. Was the Galio ban-worthy? Well, I don't know. I mean, Sneeland did his job. I mean, I know personally, mid laners, they're not fans of playing Galio, but you know what? He did his job. They love to be that big, high explosive impact mid laner, but I mean, technically he was just not probably the way he'd like to do it. But you know what? It's a team game.
Yeah, I think Camille would be the ban for me. I think Camille's a little bit better overall in terms of like a strong individual champion pick. So if you're going to cut off one head of that snake, cut the Camille head off, because that's the one that I think has more flexibility. Galio by himself, like he's decent, but like Galio, Camille, and Camille slots into a lot of other comps as well. That's where my thought process would be.
Well, Unicorns of Love find themselves in the July finals. They were the winners of the June finals. Can they do it again? We're going to go to a break. When we come back, it is time for Group A. It is the winner bracket finals between Game Lord and Team Queso.